Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and tonight we are going to be doing a live stream commentary on my favorite vampire movie of all time, and that is Horror of Dracula. Yes, from Hammer Films, otherwise known as simply Dracula, as it was released in the UK. I prefer the horror of Dracula name because to me that separates it from all the other iterations of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. Yeah, that separates it. And when you hear horror of Dracula, you know that's the Hammer version of Dracula. You know, not the Universal 1931 version or the 1979 version or the countless other versions of Dracula's been. 1992 was a version, Stoker's Dracula. I just like it as horror of Dracula, that that distinguishes it from the rest, even though it is another iteration of Bram Stoker's Dracula, based on the novel. I have not yet read the entire Dracula novel. I've read some of it, but I haven't completed it yet. I'm working on it though. So I can't tell you exactly how faithful this adaptation is, but I can tell you that this is my favorite vampire movie of all time. So that kind of tells you something, I guess. Whatever it is, they did a great job, whether it's faithful or not. So I'll give a few minutes for maybe some people to join us in the chat or out there. I'll give you a chance to grab your trusty control, and we're gonna get started soon here. And I got the DVD and the player ready to go. Yes, it's the DVD. Unfortunately, I don't have the Blu-ray yet because I figured I would wait till they come out with a special edition of Horror of Dracula on Blu-ray or 4K or whatever, because they haven't yet. The one they have is just a bare bones disc from Warner Brothers. They still have not made a special edition, collector's edition of Horror of Dracula, which is like criminal to me. um, a lot of the others they have because they've been released by Scream Factory, and yeah, the Scream Factory ones are special edition with all kinds of special features and stuff. Yeah, all we're left with in here is the bare bones disc with nothing but like the trailer on it. Come on. The one Hammer film that deserves the best treatment of all of them, and they don't have one yet. Come on. Like, I'll show you some of the other ones, like Brides of Dracula. This is a fantastic edition, um, by Scream Factory with all kinds of special features and all kinds of goodies on there. Like, why can't Horror of Dracula get the same treatment? I don't understand. It's like Warner Brothers doesn't care. Come on. You don't care about Horror of Dracula, one of the greatest vampire movies of all time? Even the, first sequel, Christopher Lee, Prince of Darkness, got the nice, Scream Factory treatment there. Look at that, the badass cover there. Awesome, awesome stuff, look at that. Yes, we need Scream Factory to get the rights to, some of the, Dracula films. 'Cause, yeah, all the ones released by Warner Brothers are just bare bones, Blu-rays. Like this one, Taste the Blood of Dracula, which I must say the transfer on this is really good. So it is worth getting. It is better than the Blu-ray because the transfer is really nice and the sound quality, the picture quality is really nice. But there's nothing on it. There's just bare bones, you know. So all the ones from Warner Brothers, they're just bare bones. Satanic Rites of Dracula and Dracula 1972. Dracula has risen from the grave. There's no I don't have that one on Blu-ray, but I'm told that the transfer isn't too good on that one, that it's just like the DVD. It's no better than the DVD. So why bother? So until Scream Factory or somebody releases a special edition of Horror of Dracula, I'm not gonna bother. Hey, welcome Joe Cool to the chat. If you could own one authentic horror movie prop, what would it be and who would you want to sign it? Wow. Interesting question. That's a really good question. Hmm. Out of all horror movies, oh man, there's so many things. Hmm. The original Michael Myers mask from the 1978 film. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But yeah, the original mask used in the original Halloween from 1978, worn by Michael Myers. No chance of it happening, but I wonder if it does still exist, if somebody owns it somewhere. I know that Dick Warlock had it for a long time, and I believe he sold it off. Dick Warlock played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, and that was supposed to have been the same mask that was used in the original. At any rate, we're talking about Hammer horror films here. This is Horror of Dracula, an absolute classic starring Christopher Lee in his first time around as the Count Dracula. And he played him 7 times for Hammer Films and twice in 2 other films. One was the version of Dracula by Jess Franco. And then there was another one called Dracula and Son, which I've never seen that one. The other one was the one Jess Franco was called Count Dracula, actually. And that was supposed to be more authentic, more based on the novel directly, supposedly. Yeah, but Horror of Dracula, man, yeah. To me, this movie is perfection. It's absolutely brilliant. I love everything about it. I can never take my eyes off the screen for 1 minute watching this movie. It's brilliant. The acting, the score, that bombastic score, dan, da, da. It's amazing. And the music throughout the whole movie is amazing. And obviously the acting, the characters are incredible. The atmosphere is incredible. That Gothic tone and feel, the look of the film, the costume design, the beautiful big Gothic Dracula's castle there is fantastic. It's just gripping. It's so intense. It's so like in your face, and you got Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. I mean, is there a better Van Helsing? No. Peter Cushing freaking nails it as Van Helsing. He's unbelievable. As is Christopher Lee, obvious. That goes without saying. Um, he's so well known for being Dracula. So guys, shall we get ready here? Everyone grab their trusty remote, put in your copy of Horror of Dracula, Or if you're watching from the UK, Dracula, grab the Blu-ray of Dracula. I think that the UK does have a special edition, of Dracula from 1958, but we get stuck with the bare bones disc. So I've seen, I think it was Bushman and Blue, had Horror of Dracula on Blu-ray, and, it was, like, a lot of special features on it and stuff. I'm like, "Damn, I want that." But I don't have the region-free Blu-ray player, unfortunately. So, yeah, I can't play, like, UK DVDs or anything, unfortunately. You would think that, like, a 4K having a 4K would automatically play those, you know? It's supposed to have so much, memory and stuff. Why can't it play, UK DVDs and stuff too? Whatever. Um, yeah, the Hammer Dracula franchise is my second favorite franchise, next to the Halloween franchise. So, yeah, that's how much I love it, you know? I love every movie in the, Hammer Dracula franchise. Maybe with the exception of Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, but even that one I like, I do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun for what it is, you know? If you could just take it for what it is, there's a lot of fun to be had in that movie. Um, some people don't even count it as one of the Hammer Dracula films, but you have to because it has Dracula in it, and it has Peter Cushing coming back as Van Helsing. How can you not count that? Yeah, but Christopher Lee did not return as Dracula. That's why a lot of people don't count it. He wasn't in Brides of Dracula either, you know. Everyone counts that. Everyone loves that. How can you not? It's a great movie. But yeah, I love Taste the Blood of Dracula. I'll show you some of the other ones I have. Dracula has risen from the grave. That's probably my favorite title. Also Taste the Blood of Dracula is a great title too. And very underrated one is Scars of Dracula. This is another Scream Factory release. A lot of love given to this one, which is I'd say it's the most rare of the bunch. You don't hear too many people talk about Scars of Dracula as much, you know. I don't know why. It's a pretty damn good one, you know. um Dracula probably has the most dialogue that he has in the entire franchise. So that's great to see. I love seeing Christopher Lee talk, you know. He's got such a commanding voice, and the fact that he doesn't have many lines in a lot of them, kind of, is a downer sometimes, you know. Like Taste the Blood of Dracula, he only has like a few lines in that whole movie, you know. Or Dracula AD 1972. He's only got a few lines in that too. But whenever he does have a line, it's amazing. So he always makes it count. He always makes it really count even in the ones where he has barely any lines. Like this one here. You demand. I've come to destroy the house of Van Helsing, the old to the young, and you and your line have been chosen. He actually does have a pretty good amount of lines in Satanic Rites of Dracula, so that was really nice. Also, in my opinion, an underrated entry in the franchise. It doesn't get a lot of love. It gets a lot of hate, actually. I don't know why. I think it's so much fun, and I think it has some of the best scenes between Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. They have some great dialogue and banter back and forth. And this is the one I have with the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires there. I don't have the single Blu-ray or DVD yet. I do plan on getting that though. So yeah, I'd say, I mean, definitely Seven Golden Vampires is my least favorite of the franchise, but like I said, I still enjoy it. But every other one I think is great. Every one of them. All right, guys, let's get started here. I'm about to hit play on Horror of Dracula from Hammer Films from 1958, starring Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Michael Gough, and directed by the great Terence Fisher, who directed so many classic Hammer films. Easily the best director in the Hammer canon, I think. And this is the best film in the Hammer canon, in my opinion. All right, here we go. Start with that awesome theme song. Opening theme music is amazing. I've got it on my iPod. That's how much I love it. I listen to it all the time, actually. It's I think it's one of the best horror scores ever in horror Dracula. It's just so overpowering. It's so over the top. It's so, like I said, bombastic in your face. Dun, 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 dun. uh, Michael Gough and Melissa Stribling, yes, she's really good in it too. You know, he was really good in this is Valerie Gount, and she gets no credit. She's just the vampire woman. She doesn't have a name. I was find that funny. She got a pretty fairly substantial role in the movie, but she doesn't even get a name. I think she's great in it too. You will help me. You must. Look at that opening. I love the opening, when you see the outside of the castle, you see that bird there, even the lettering, like the typeface of the horror of Dracula, and the red bold letters like blood red, and of course you get the close up of Dracula's coffin. They see the blood dripping down. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Now, of course, The Curse of Frankenstein is the film that really kicked Hammer into gear. Really got the ball rolling for their foray into horror. Before that, they did a lot of sci-fi stuff and other types of genres. But The Curse of Frankenstein was their first big horror release. And then they followed it up with Horror of Dracula, and that just like blew it wide open. It was a huge success for them. And it really solidified their place in horror history with this film. Rightfully so, because I think this is a masterpiece, a 5-star masterpiece. Love every minute of it. Here we meet Jonathan Harker. Jonathan Harker has arrived at Dracula's castle to serve as Dracula's librarian. I have a number of volumes must be indexed. So apparently Dracula's hired him as his personal librarian. He's got a big library apparently. And he wants all his books put in order. It's like, does Dracula have an open library? Is it open to the public? Anyone could just come in and get one of Dracula's books. It's like, why does he need a librarian? Look at that! Look at the beautiful set design. I mean, that's amazing. That Gothic tone, which Hammer is known for. Nobody does Gothic better than Hammer films. And that beautiful color, like the Technicolor, um, is awesome. They prepared dinner for him and everything, all set up for his arrival. This guy does a great job too. I can't remember the name of the actor that plays Jonathan Harker. He does a great job. Everyone in this movie is great. Hey, Drum Smash 88. Hey, Sean, been wanting to check this Dracula movie out. Oh my god, you need to. What are you waiting for? That kind of sounded like Donald Pleasance, didn't it? Is the classic scene when he drops the thing and looks up and sees the vampire woman. How come Donald Pleasance never did any Hammer movies? Food for thought. Wonder why they never approached him to do, British actor, famous British actor. It would have been great. It'd been perfect. Of course, he did the 1979 Dracula. Beautiful woman, Valerie Gount. Doesn't have a name. Just vampire woman. That's it. Oh, please, you must help me. She had to get the hell out of there because guess who's coming to dinner? Count Dracula. There he is. He makes his first appearance on screen. Christopher Lee, the late, great Christopher Lee. Mr. Harker, I'm glad you've arrived safely. I'm Dracula, and I welcome you to my house. Must apologize for not being there to greet you. But you'll find that everything's been prepared for your comfort. Yes. Shot him 6 times, indeed. Fortunately, my housekeeper is away. A bereavement of sorts. You understand? This dude's awesome. This guy just reeks of awesomeness. By the way, guys, I'm wearing my Christopher Lee Dracula shirt. Gotta represent. Just such an occasion. Consider myself fortunate to have such a distinguished guest to act as my librarian. Hey, Genome Presents. Seem to remember liking this flick. Yeah, you went through all the Draculas. By the way, guys, check out Genome Presents channel. Did a lot of great live stream commentaries on the Hammer films with some great guests too, like Anthropomantic Fiend. This is my first Hammer film that I've done on live commentary. He's checking out his wife. He shows him a picture of his wife, Lucy. You're a very fortunate man, Mr. Harker. Yeah, Christopher Lee has more dialogue in the first 10 minutes of this flick than he does for the rest of the films. But that's it, though. Once, like after here, that's it. That's the only time you hear him talk. But what's so great about Christopher Lee as Dracula is he doesn't have to talk. Look at Prince of Darkness. He never says a word in Prince of Darkness. He just commands the screen. It's like almost he doesn't have to say anything. It's just because Christopher Lee's the man, you know? I would have liked to. I would have liked to had more dialogue in Prince of Darkness, but and here we see that this version of Jonathan Harker has come there to destroy Dracula, you know, to foil his plans. But different iterations of Dracula don't uh, don't have that aspect to the character. If you could stay a night in the castle used in this film, what would you do? Take pics of everything? Have an all-night horror movie marathon? Yeah, hell yeah, I'd have an all-night marathon. There he goes out into the night, Count Dracula, out into the streets to wreak havoc on the world. I like how Jonathan Harker's door suddenly unlocks after Dracula left, even. Must have powers. I mean, we know he does have power, mental powers. The power of seduction, which you'll find in all iterations of Dracula, I believe. The power of seduction and control, mind control as well. Because Jonathan Harker in like the 1931 version of Dracula, he's just like Dracula's servant, basically. He actually becomes infected by well, Dracula controls him, but he never actually becomes a vampire, but He becomes his servant and Dracula controls him. But in this one, he's actually there to destroy Dracula. To drive a wooden stake to his heart and end this curse forever. Why is Dracula keeping you prisoner? I'm sorry, it's not possible. Is it not reason enough that he keeps me locked up in this house? Holds me against my will? You can have no idea what an evil man he is and what terrible things he does. I really like her in this movie too. I just wish she had a name, It's just Vampire Woman. So funny. She's also in Curse of Frankenstein as Peter Cushing, Baron Frankenstein's maid slash lover on the side. The first of the Hammer Dracula heaving bosoms. Yeah, you could say that. Oh, there he is, showing his true self, Christopher Lee, Count Dracula, busts in the room. One thing I love about these movies is like anytime someone tries to take a victim other than Dracula, he gets pissed off. He's like, "I'm not having that. This is my prisoner. This is my victim." I love the intensity of the scene where he just throws the vampire woman to the side and he chokes out Jonathan Harker, and it's like so intense. And of course, when you first see him, and he's like, it's so freaking classic. No, I've never heard that. I don't think I've ever heard. I look like Jon Stewart. Thank you. I wish I had his money. He grabs the vampire woman and takes her away, carries her away. And Jonathan Harker did get bit by the vampire woman. So he's screwed. That puts a foil in his plans. I meant that as respect. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like Jon Stewart. He's cool. I remember back when he had the Jon Stewart show before, and it was like a late night talk show. It was before he did the Daily Show and all that. Before he actually used to have like dark hair. Not like me with the salt and pepper hair going. And the door is locked again. He can't leave his room. Look at this set once again. Look at this set design. That's fantastic. Look at this design and the furniture, the drapes, and the color scheme is amazing. Oh, there he sees he got bit. Blood dripping from his neck. All right, we'll catch you later. We got 80s horror fan in the chat. We got Genome Presents and Joe Cool. Welcome, welcome all. We are doing a live stream commentary, not of Satanic Rites of Dracula. Sorry about that. We are doing a live stream commentary of Harder of Dracula. Yes, that's the right one. Sorry about that, guys. What horror films would you pick for your all-night horror movie marathon in the castle? Well, obviously, it's going to be the Hammer Dracula franchise. I throw in a couple other, throw in the 1931 Universal Dracula as well. And Dracula's daughter, probably, yeah. Son of Dracula from Universal Pictures. Well, it'd be better to watch in a castle than like the Hammer Dracula films. Watch the whole franchise. I must do what I set out to do. So he's still, even though he's infected now, and I must find the resting place of Dracula and there end his existence forever. So he's still gonna go forward with his plan to kill Dracula, even though he's becoming a vampire. He's like, well, before the moon comes out, before the night comes, and he's still got his wits about him before he completely turns. He wants to take care of business. And we've had all these great scenes, and we haven't even met Peter Cushing as Professor Van Helsing yet. And that's how great this movie is. Once he comes in, I'll forget about it. That really kicks the movie into high gear. You would need to have fog machines going throughout the horror movie marathon to set the atmosphere, right? Yes, I do have a fog machine, actually. I plan to use that again when it comes Halloween time. I had fun with that using the fog machine. Getting closer to Halloween time, guys. There you go, Genome, your heaving bosoms. Literally, as we see the vampire woman sleep in his coffin, and Jonathan Harker is about to drive that wooden stake through her heart, and we see the shadow on the wall. That's really cool. But she had to know she had the blood there from a fresh kill, you know? So does Dracula. And he's in the other coffin. Now, why he chose her coffin first instead of going right for Dracula? Not a great idea. Because of course, Dracula has time to escape while he's sitting there taking care of the vampire woman. Which he does, and he does kill her, and you see her turn to like an old lady and get very good makeup job. Very good makeup job there. And of course, he looks to Dracula's castle, and now he's Dracula's coffin, and now he's gone. And then we see him come to the door there. Dude transported himself. All of a sudden, he's up. And Jonathan Harker's just like freaking terrified, man. Look at him. And I love how you just see Dracula just slam the door behind him, and you know it's not going to be good. We don't get to see what happens, but I think we get a good idea of what's going to happen. You're screwed, dude. You're done. Here we see Folks chilling at the local bar, and here we go. Here we meet the great Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing. Absolutely perfect portrayal of the character. No one does it better. I'm sorry. It's just tailor made for this role. And right away, you can tell he's checking everything aspect in the place. Um, trying to get an idea of what's going on. The guy does not miss a beat, and he's looking for his friend Jonathan Harker. So he's friend and colleague of Jonathan Harker, who's apparently missing. And Jonathan Harker was engaged to be married to Lucy, who he showed the picture earlier to Dracula. So now Dracula knows who she is. Obviously, that marriage is not gonna happen. Like, this is why all the garlic in the windows and out there. You afraid of something? I don't know what you're talking about. I think you do. I think you know something about my friend. I came here with a purpose. We don't need any help. Hmm. This is more than superstition. The danger is very real. If the investigation of Harker, the whole world benefit. You have ordered a meal, sir. As an innkeeper, it's my duty to serve you. When you finish the meal, I ask you to leave. The townsfolk are all freaked out about Dracula. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to mess with it. They don't want anything to do with it. They're terrified of Dracula and the evil of Dracula. His presence just looms from the castle. And he has the book written by Jonathan Harker, the diary, which was given to him by the waitress. She was kind enough to. Nobody else wanted to own up to seeing Jonathan Harker at the bar there, but she did. She thought he was kind to him. She wanted to help him out. So now he knows what he must do. He must go to Dracula's castle and find Jonathan Harker and either save him or. And there he goes, there goes the horse and carriage with Dracula's coffin. Transporting Dracula out of there. Just in time, because here's Van Helsing looking for his buddy in this humongous castle. Which prop would I prefer? One of Van Helsing's stakes signed by Peter Cushing or Dracula's cloak cape signed by Christopher Lee? That's a great question. Hmm. Hey, Night Watch Zone in the house. What's going on, dude? We are doing live stream commentary on Horror of Dracula. My favorite vampire film of all time, starring the great Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. When you have those two together, nothing can go wrong. It's just gold whenever they're together. Thanks for stopping by, man. Oh, you got a late night at work, huh? Dun, dun. I believe he just found his friend. His buddy Jonathan Harker is now an undead vampire. Horror Dracula's awesome. Yes, it is. Oh, you work overnights? Oh, man. I feel your pain. I used to do that a long time ago. I worked at 7-Eleven. I worked overnight in the gas booth. I used to work at like the gas station part of it. Hey, Arthur Bremer in the house. Welcome. Imagine that, having to kill your best friend and drive a stake through his heart. Can you imagine having to do that? Can we meet Michael Gough? Alfred himself from the Batman movies. Tim Burton's Batman. And he's not buying anything Mr. Cushing is telling him. Because he's Lucy's brother. And Lucy was supposed to marry Jonathan Harker. And now he turns up dead, and they're about to have a wedding, and now he turns up dead. I love that too, Joe Cool. I love that. The debate between American Werewolf London and the Howling. I watched that too. The age old debate. You know what? You know my answer. I am team Howling, baby, all the way. Don't make me bust out Elizabeth Brooks as Marcia Quist. We could fit in, you said. We can live with them. You make me sick. Oh, you're through, Doc. She's ours now. And of course, his wife is Mina. which they switched the characters around there because I believe in the original 1931 Dracula and in the novel, Mina is um Jonathan Harker's wife, isn't she? So yeah, they always tend to change something in their versions of the classic horror stories to make it their own version, which is cool. Personally, I prefer it this way, because this movie does everything right. This movie is just flawless to me. It's a masterpiece. Look at the tone, the Gothic tone and the score right there. I love this scene where Van Helsing is doing his recordings talking about the vampire lore and the sunlight fatal, repeat fatal, would destroy them. To garlic. Vampires repelled by odor of garlic. Memo check final arrangements with Harker before he leaves for Klausenberg. 3. The crucifix, symbolizing the power of good over evil. The power of the crucifix in this case is fatal. The butler comes in, he's all freaked out, thinks he's talking to himself. Yeah, yeah. And watch this part when he talks about vampire bats, which they don't exactly adhere to throughout the rest of the franchise. In fact, the very next one, Brides of Dracula, has vampire bats in it. Oh, late horror show in the house. Welcome. Of course, a great choice. Thank you. Establish that victims consciously detest being dominated by vampirism, but are unable to relinquish the practice, similar to addiction to drugs. Ultimately, death results from loss of blood. But unlike normal death, no peace manifests itself. For they enter into the fearful state of the undead. This guy's freaking rules. Count Dracula, the propagator of this unspeakable evil, has disappeared. He must be found and destroyed. Dan! And they show him close up of his face. He has entered the room of young Lucy, fiancée of the late Jonathan Harker. The man commands the screen and he commands this woman. Whoever comes into contact with him, he commands. And I have to say that the Hammer films definitely take more of a sexual tone with the Count Dracula lore, and when he seduces the victims, you see them almost like scared at first, but then they kind of get excited and they kind of almost like, oh yeah, take the shirt down. Burger. How do you like your steak, honey? Rare. I love when she says that. Rare. Is she not just perfect? Elizabeth Brooks as Marsha Christ. Why in the hell did they not continue the franchise using her character? I mean, that's a no-brainer. I can't even with the sequels. I just can't do it. The Dracula sequels, however, are great, and I highly recommend all of them, except maybe the Legend of Seven Golden Vampires, but it has to be seen to be believed, actually. He did tell me I could get a second opinion. As Miss Lucy suddenly has become ill. And the other doctor she saw just, thinks it's the flu or something. They don't think it's that seriously, but Van Helsing knows better. And of course, once he inspects her, he finds the vampire bites on her neck. And obviously, Van Helsing knows exactly what to do. Listen to him at all costs. Do not do not ever doubt Van Helsing, because every time they do in these movies, things go badly, and that's no exception in this movie. I'm for a reboot of the Howling sequels with Sean Erschen at the helm and Joe Dante as the executive producer. Hell yeah. Make it happen. Screw all this channel your energy crap. He knows what's up. She's about to become one of the kill. Oh, Night Watch is down with that too, man. I could write a script for that. Anything's better than what they came up with. windows in the room. The small and like must be kept shut. Everything I think I think Cushing is on that. Sorry, guys. I had a little bit of. Oh man, this Wi-Fi. This Wi-Fi I just got is brand new. I was hoping it would work a little bit better. Well, hopefully that'll be the last interruption. So far, so good, except for one little spotty there for a second. And look at the look on her face as she knows Dracula's coming again. And you see the leaves blowing in the wind, the moon, the full moon outside. Amazing stuff. I mean, the atmosphere does not get any better than Hammer Films. I'm sorry. Ah, poor Lucy has fallen victim to Count Dracula, and she has met her demise. Here comes Van Helsing. He's pissed. They didn't listen to him. They took the plants away, the garlic away, they opened the windows. They did everything he said not to do. It was all my fault. She could not breathe. She looked so royal. She begged me to open the windows and throw away the plants. Blumhouse is messing with Sean Ershen's Wi-Fi, trying to get the Howling sequels to reboot. My Howling sequel will be The Return of Marcia Quist. To spare you the details of the dreadful circumstances of his death, since it is so closely linked. I can't expect you to believe me, but I know you will believe Jonathan. And he shows them the diary that Jonathan Harker wrote, describing all the great details of his dealings with Count Dracula. And yeah, now they're starting to think about that Van Helsing might just be right, and maybe they should have listened to him in the first place. Thank you, man. Thanks for watching Night Watch Zone. Appreciate you stopping by. That was really cool. Have a good night. Have a good night at work. It's Lucy's niece. By the way, Joe Cool, I love Stoopy. I love Peanuts. I'm a big fan of Charlie Brown, the Peanuts gang. And she's talking about Aunt Lucy and how she's been seeing her in the woods, but she's supposed to be dead. How are you seeing her in the woods? And Lucy told me to run away with her. And Michael Gough's finally starting to, it's finally starting to click through his thick head just what Mr. Van Helsing has been telling him all along. I mean, look at this beautiful Gothic set design right here. You got the fog in the background there. You got the tomb of Mrs. Lucy Helmwood. Curiosity has finally gotten the better of him, and he's checking on the tomb, and she is indeed gone. Lucy is gone from her tomb. She's out there in the night, in the fog, in the mist, in the woods. There is a vampire on the loose. Oh, and the little girl's wandering out there. Who let this girl out? You think they lock all her windows? This little girl's just walking around the forest in the middle of the night. And there she sees Lucy once again, her Aunt Lucy. Obviously, she doesn't realize that Lucy is a vampire. I know somewhere where we can play, where it's quiet. She's trying to take the girl away to Count Dracula. Can you imagine that? Count Dracula would have made her the youngest victim of all time. It would be just like the girl in Interview with the Vampire there, Kirsten Dunst. I want more. I love that scene. But I'm so tired. Uh, Mr. Holmwood sees Lucy. Arthur, dear brother. Lucy, dear Arthur, why didn't you come sooner? Come here, let me kiss you. Here comes Van Helsing with the crucifix. Awesome. Right in her forehead, and it burns right in her forehead. Burns a cross into her forehead. That's awesome. I just realized they did that in Fright Night too. Yeah. That had to be a homage to that right there with Lucy, that scene right there. He burns the crucifix right into her forehead. Ha! Fright Night. Well, Fright Night pays quite a bit of homage to Hammer Films there. Obviously, with the Peter Vincent character. I mean, come on. Peter Vincent, vampire killer. Freaking love Fright Night. Fright Night is my favorite 80s vampire film. For sure. I know most people probably say Lost Boys, but no, I'm a Fright Night guy, just like I'm a Howling guy. Go against the grain. You understand now. Yes. You finally understand, you dumbass. When are you people gonna learn? Listen to Van Helsing. It's just like Dr. Loomis. When are you people gonna learn? Listen to Dr. Loomis. They wouldn't be in this mess. How can you suggest a thing that she'd be possessed by this evil for another second? It's like, well, there are other ways. Meet me back here in about an hour's time. She won't leave the coffin again. Oh, he's got the stakes ready. Isn't there some other way? There is no other way. She's possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula. Give her eternal peace. We must destroy that shell for all time. Believe me, there is no other way. Hmm. He really freaks out too, Mr. Helmwood. Arthur Helmwood. Man, we had some straight up gore there. We didn't see too much of that back in those days. It's funny, a lot of the Hammer films are like PG and G. There's one that's G rated. I think it's Dracula has risen from the grave. Yeah, rated G. Look at that. Can you believe that? Because these are the classic films, the classics. They don't rely on gore and blood. Some of the later ones did, though. They started injecting more blood and violence and nudity into the films. The Hammer was kind of desperate at that time. They couldn't compete with the American horror films and stuff like that. The threats in the horror films were becoming more realistic, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff. They didn't want to. They were getting away from the Gothic style of horror, the ancient old days of horror, the period movies and the monsters. They wanted to have more realistic threats. So Hammer started falling behind, and they lost a lot of money. They didn't have much of a budget for their later films. And you can see that clearly in like the Satanic Rites of Dracula and stuff like that. That they didn't have much of a budget in their later films, and they paid the price for that. But they did try and put more gore and nudity to try and compete, but it didn't. Unfortunately, it didn't help. They ended up sadly going out of business. But they did come back, in 2010 there. And they're still around as far as I know. They did The Lodge recently. That was their most recent movie, I think. And that did pretty well. That was pretty well received. They're on the hunt for Dracula. They know where he is. At least they have a good idea. So they're going all over town, trying to track him down. They know he's not at the castle anymore. Oh, we got Y&V Gamer in the house. Have you seen Antichrist? No, I haven't. Can't say I've heard of that one. What's that all about? Other than, the Antichrist. And this kid comes to Mina's door with a message from Arthur saying that, Arthur wants to meet you downtown. And we know that's not true. That's a message sent by Count Dracula. I like this. No unauthorized person has access to that. And they slip him a couple 20s, and he's like, well, you are a doctor. Carlsenberg to Klausenstadt. One hearse, one coffin. So now that they got the information where the coffin is, so they go to the local mortuary. The undertaker. Which is where Mina is right now. And she has discovered the coffin of Dracula. She doesn't realize that, he tricked her, into coming there. Dun, 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 dun. Christopher Lee pulls the top of the coffin aside, revealing his true nature. Yeah, to me, Hammer just represents classic horror. When I think classic horror, Hammer is one of the first things I think about. It's just classy and it's just a much more logical and classical approach to horror, which harkens back to the days of the Universal monsters and stuff. A very, very important era of horror, in my opinion. Obviously, the Universal monsters, we owe everything to those. What would horror be today without the Universal monster movies like Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman and stuff like that? Would horror even exist today? Who knows? But luckily, Hammer took the reins over, when Universal started to fizzle out, once they had tired all those franchises like Dracula and Frankenstein. They kind of wore them out, and that's when Hammer came in and took over the reins, kind of. And they did their versions of the classic monster stories. They did The Mummy, they did Dracula, they did Frankenstein, but in their own way, with their style. If you could have a life-size replica of a universal monster, which would it be? Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster. Or maybe it'd be Dracula, I'm not sure. Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Yeah, I changed my mind. It'd be Bela Lugosi's as Dracula. Because he is the definitive version of Dracula. I know we're watching a Christopher Lee Dracula movie, but he set the standard. Bela Lugosi set the standard, and by which all Draculas are measured. As great, as fantastic, as incredible as Christopher Lee is as Dracula, um, Bill had already done it. He had set the standard. He had set the mold by which Dracula should be, who Dracula is, and what he should be like. And all others, including Christopher Lee, pretty much followed that. And it's just ingrained into the mind of culture as to who Dracula is, and that's Bela Lugosi's Dracula. You just can't ever take that away from him. And that's hard for me to say because I want to say that Christopher Lee is the greatest because he is amazing as Dracula. I love Christopher Lee. In some ways, I prefer Christopher Lee's Dracula because he's more menacing, he's more in your face, he's more violent and commanding, more dangerous than Bela Lugosi's Dracula. But Bela Lugosi's Dracula is just so classic with that accent and that his mannerisms, the way he speaks, the way he moves, the way he behaves. It's just incredible. Yep, there's a pop culture reference of Dracula in a movie or TV show, it almost always includes Lugosi's accent. Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? Like I want to bite your neck kind of thing, stuff like that. Like that's the version you see in pop culture, the slick back black hair, the medallion and but Christopher Lee's easily the second best. He's right there with him. It's very, very thin margin. But I prefer watching the Hammer Dracula movies because they're more entertaining to me. And I think Horror of Dracula is a much better film than the 1931 Dracula. As great as a movie as that is, the ending really disappointed me. It was very lackluster. It always bothers me, the ending of 31 Dracula. I love Mina's reaction to Dracula. She's just like all about it. It's like She's like, "Bring it on, man, bring it on." It's like, oh. She's like, "I'm ready." Basically. She basically just props herself on the bed, you know? Definitely more heightened sexuality in the Hammer vampire movies, for sure. Especially when you get to, like, the vampire lovers and stuff. Then we're really talking about sexual stuff. But even in these early ones, it's definitely a heightened sense of sexuality as part of the romantic aspects of Dracula. But it's like almost like a more primitive kind of thing, like a lust kind of thing. All of the scene too, that he's giving them the blood transfusion to Mina, because she's lost so much blood. Dracula drained all the blood from her body, and now he's given a blood transfusion and given Arthur's blood to Mina. Once again, Van Helsing is the man. He knows exactly what to do in every situation. Highly efficient doctor. Have you ever seen the 70s TV special, The Halloween That Almost Wasn't? The Night Dracula Saved the World, starring Judd Hirsch as Dracula? That actually sounds familiar. I think I did see that. I remember Judd Hirsch playing him at some point. I think I did see that, but long, long time ago. I think I saw that on TV somewhere back in the day. Mariette Hartley as the witch. It sounds very familiar. Gerda, the maid, Gerda. It sounds like a name of a maid. Gerda. Some eau de cologne. Oh, cool. Think I should check that out. That's crazy if you think about how many people have played Dracula throughout the years, all the different versions of Dracula. She's such a great character. Wonderful book by Mr. Bram Stoker. He probably had no idea how much his character would be used. I mean, vampires in general, huge, huge part of horror history. That's one of my favorite genres of horror. I love vampire movies. That was pretty smart of Peter Cushing there. He put the crucifix right in the Dracula's coffin, so when he comes back, he can't go to sleep. He can't lay in the coffin. Always thinking, always thinking. He was here. He looked like the devil. He came and picked up Madam like she was a baby. He's got her. Dracula's got her. We're getting close to the final act. Very, very entertaining, very exciting, intense showdown between Van Helsing and Dracula. One of the most memorable finales in horror, period, And that ending is very, very famous. They're on their way to the castle. To gatekeeper, dude. It broke right through the gate. He patches up the gate. Wait, halt, halt, halt. And they break right through it again. There he is. They caught him right in time. Dracula's about to drop Mina right into a grave. And he does just that, and he starts putting the dirt over her. Gonna bury her alive, for Christ's sake. I think he didn't know what to do because he knew that Van Helsing was on the way to get him. Dun, 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 dun. I love the music. Dun, 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 dun. When he's running up the stairs, Dracula's running up the stairs, and he's running behind him. It's like this intense, like action scene. Dun, 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 dun. And Dracula tries to go into the basement to hide, and he just like Van Helsing is there to block him off at the pass. Tries to throw a candle at him. He's choking him out. Yeah, awesome. It looks like he's got him. He's like, and then he's about to bite him, and then, hey, the real Logan massacre. What's going on? We are watching Horror of Dracula from 1958, and we are reaching the final act here with the showdown between Count Dracula and Van Helsing, as played by the great Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, respectively. and it's awesome. Here we go. Peter Cushing jumps up and pulls the curtain down, exposing the sunlight. Dracula's starting to disintegrate into ash. He keeps trying to get out of the way of the sunlight, and Peter Cushing grabs the two candlesticks and puts them together, forming a crucifix. And the count is down for the count. He's turning into ash. He's burning, burning. And then we see the crucifix that was burnt into Mina's hand has now disappeared, and she's okay now. She's back to normal. All is right with the world. Count Dracula has been destroyed, and we have a happy ending. Van Helsing has prevailed. He has triumphed over evil. For now. Because we know Count Dracula returns in Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Stay tuned. Might have to do a stream on that one. But of course, we cannot skip over The Brides of Dracula, which is an excellent, excellent movie. And we did have Peter Cushing returning as Van Helsing in The Brides of Dracula. Fortunately, we didn't have Christopher Lee returning, but this is still a very, very worthwhile entry. And I think that's the most awesome Blu-ray cover I've ever seen. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. And that's it, guys. There you have it. The Horror of Dracula. Absolutely amazing film by the great Hammer Films from 1958, directed by the great Terence Fisher, who directed so many Hammer classics. Yes, it is really cool. And there you have it. An absolute masterpiece. Greatest vampire film of all time, in my opinion. The greatest Dracula film of all time. The greatest Hammer film of all time. Absolutely amazing film on all fronts. You know, everything worked, everything came together beautifully with the Gothic tone of the film, the amazing atmosphere, and the phenomenal performances throughout the entire film. And not just Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, who are amazing, but all the supporting cast as well. You know, Melissa Stribling, Michael Gough, just do a great job. Valerie Gount, phenomenal movie and the score is just, I can't say enough about the score. It's so powerful, it's so intense, and it does so much to help the movie along. You know, it's an absolutely imperative. Really, Lee? Oh, you mean is Count Dooku there in the prequel movies? Yeah, score is fantastic. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining me so much for my first Hammer live stream commentary. I do plan to do some more of these, you know. Having a great time, had a blast doing this, and thank you everyone who joined me in the chat. We had Mr. Joe Cool, we had the Real Logan Massacre, we had Late Horror Show, we had Night Watch Stone in the house. Yeah, we had a great time. Great stream, guys, and thank you for joining me. Sean Patrick Erschen in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Have a great night, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. and show your love for Hammer horror. And have a great night, guys.